This time we're freeze drying cilantro lime pulled pork in the freeze dryer. Okay, we need some limes, juice and pulp of limes. Squish them up a bit. Gonna cut it in half and then try to squeeze the stuffings out of it. Gonna scoop that out. All right, so we'll juice the 4 of them and that'll go in the one batch. So continuing on making cilantro lime pulled pork. So we've got pork roast, some Herdez Salsa Verde, fresh lime juice with some pulp, some fresh cilantro, minced garlic, and I'm going to add some of the Pace Picante sauce that's been freeze dried because I want some of that, but I didn't want to add more liquid to the slow cooker. So mix all these pieces together and then pour it over it. And the Pace Picante sauce. So, got 1 cup of the salsa. So then, just pour that over the roast. And then cook it in the slow cooker for about a bazillion hours. Okay, the second container, the crock pot of the cilantro lime pulled pork. So we got the mix of salsa verde, lime juice, chopped cilantro, and minced garlic. And just gonna pour it over the top of it and let that cook for a bunch of hours. And voila. 2-pack of crock pots going and they're almost done. Well, in 8 hours or something like that. We'll be back. So it's cooked for about 8 hours on high. So it's been over 200 degrees for 3 hours already. So I'm going to take the pork out and then I'm going to take the juices and reduce those down while the pork is cooling enough to shred. Whoa, it's falling apart already. Well, it's going to be pretty easy to shred once it cools a bit. And after I reduce the sauce down, pour it back over the shredded pork. So the rest of that I'll put in a pan and reduce it down while the pork cools a bit, because that needs to cool a bit so I can finish shredding it. But you can see it's coming right apart. That's good. Okay, so that's the plain green chili one, and this is, or the salsa verde one, and this is the one that has some red salsa in it, or Pace Picante sauce that was freeze dried and then they added to it. Yeah, that's just falling apart really nicely. Okay, I'll cook that down and then pour it over the shreds. You can see that's just shredding apart. Whew. So now I need a big pan. I'm going to transfer that over. I just put them on the stove and then I'm going to reduce them down to get rid of most of the liquid, and then I'll put it back onto the shredded pork as nature intended. So I just have it on a medium heat and just keep stirring it and cooking it down until it's quite thick, and then I'll pour it over the top of the pulled pork. So it can make a bit of a splattery mess as you reduce it down if you're impatient like I am. You can see how much that's thickened now. It's almost to where I want it to pour it back over. You can see when I put the spoon through, it starts to leave a track. It's thickened nicely, reduced it down. Then the meat will absorb the rest of this. This will be real nice. Yeah, this one has a little bit to go still. It was more to start with. We're real close now. So I've reduced it down by probably about half in this case. And that's not an exact number, it's just whatever it looks like for the thickness that you want, for the sauciness you want. I like my shredded pork or pulled pork to be kind of on the drier side, but full of flavor. And so this is all the flavor here, without a lot of wetness.
Soup is the wettest of foods.
Oh, look at how that coats it. Wow. That's what we call good. Okay, so moving over, roughly shredded apart, because it'll get shredded a little more as I mix the sauce back in. Okay, then tip it right there. Oh, look at that. The sauce is sticking to it. That's just the way you want it. So that's the one with some Pace Picante, some freeze-dried Pace Picante sauce mixed into the sauce. And it's ready for use. And I'm going to freeze dry some of this. And some of it's not going to make it that far. Okay, I think that's sufficiently stirred. There's 500 grams. Kind of mush it down a little bit. And I'll make a note on it that this is the one with Pace Picante added into it. All right. And ready to freeze. So 4 pans, 500 grams each of the ones with the paste. That's an important step, I think, is to cook the sauce down so that it sticks. Give it a bit of a stir. Then I'm going to put it in some pans. Get 250 on each side. So I'll kind of pack it down a little bit. Okay, so that'll go into the freezer to pre-freeze. When I'm doing a lot of pans ahead of time, I can stack them in the freezer. I can get 6 pans on a layer, and then I can use this corrugated plastic and put another layer, and I can get 4 layers on there. So I can get 24 pans at a time on just this one shelf. And then after the frozen, of course, I can pop them out and just put them in a Ziploc until I'm ready to freeze dry, if the freeze dryer is not empty right then. Okay, and they just pop right out real nice. Oh, I should get a drill in there. Okay, and so thermometer's in there and ready to check. That's good. Those are ready for the freeze dryer. Been pre-chilling for, unfortunately, 2.5 hours because I kind of got busy. It's already negative 48 degrees, so I'm gonna load all this stuff in. Okay, I'll bring them over the table and check them.